Okay, now we're going to edit your opt-in page. So we're going to keep this one short and sweet. The first thing that you guys need to do is check your settings. Come up here, So we're on the opt-in page that we just created in the last video. First of all, but what we want to do is just take a look at what our path is. Right now it's using our subdomain on ClickFunnels. So gpmarketing.clickfunnels is mine. So what we want to do is go straight into publishing up here and just make sure that we name these appropriately so that you'll remember them. Remember, some of these are what they will look like to somebody else on the user end. So we want to set our domain. I'm not going to set one, but this is where you would set it. And then here you might want to make this like opt-in testing 2 so that you can identify it better at some other point. If you want to get rid of all the gibberish here, just call it opt-in 2. That way you can name it for your split tests or something. That way you can go, okay, this came from opt-in 2. We'll get into this stuff later, but if you guys want to look into this, there's a lot of stuff going on here with ClickFunnels that you guys can do. You make your own pop-ups, that kind of stuff. So let's update that one. It's going to submit through. Now you'll notice the change up here, opt-in testing 2. You'll notice the path changed here. If I'd have kept that custom domain, it would have changed right here. So it would have said something like funnel.works/opt-in2. I didn't make that change because it just doesn't really matter. That being said, what you're going to do is come down here and we're going to actually edit this page. So you can edit in the classic editor for now. I personally like the old one, but because this is going to be newer for all the newer guys coming into the program, I'm going to show you guys how to edit in the new one. So let's click on edit page. So once you're inside the editor, it's a pretty clean system. This is actually pretty nice, a pretty nice system. So you've got your desktop view, you got your mobile view. You can actually see what it would look like if you were to pull it up on like your iPad. You could come over here to your settings. You could set up integrations for this, so you can set this up. This is why you want to be able to connect this with. This is why you want to have your autoresponder connected, because you can come in here and go, okay, we want to connect this with Aweber. With an existing form, and then come over here and go, okay, we want this to be connected to this particular list, right? And then it says connected. Bam, done. Okay. We want to come back over here. We can set our SEO data. By the way, this is default out of the system. If you try to save this page, it will prompt you to change your SEO data, which is the title, the description, all this information. So I'm going to call this my testing page. ClickFunnels. You can put your name in here, whatever you want to do, right? You can even put a social image, so if somebody shares this on Facebook, that's what happens. Okay, let's look at what else is up here. So it actually gives me a check mark and says, hey, I did that. Tracking code, if you guys put some tracking code, maybe from Facebook, this is a good place to put that. There's a system out there called ClickFunnels Pro Tools, and they have a lot of scripts that you guys can build into here in order to make it basically turns ClickFunnels into like a super machine, and they have a lot of cool things going on. I'll leave a link for you if you want to check that out. But that's a really good system. I definitely would recommend you guys check those out. But a lot of his codes will go right here in the footer code area. And let's see, custom CSS, if you get into that, we're not going to be getting into that probably in this course, maybe in an advanced course. You can change your background picture. So if you're like, okay, I want to change my background picture to something a little bit different, you can click background, click on a black background, and then it'll change that out so it's a little bit different. We're going to change back to the desktop view because I want to see what it looks like there, right? So now it looks a little bit different. You can pull up your pop-up. Okay, there's my pop-up. There's nothing there. If you want to edit, you can just click on the pop-up. This is something that I know it sounds completely dumb, but I didn't know where that was when I first started using ClickFunnels, and it was hard to find. So go to pop, and that was in the classic editor. It wasn't as easy to find it. It was like this hidden icon down in the corner, like where this is. You wouldn't some weird place. It's not very intuitive. So over here, you can edit your sections. You can add sections. You can also add sections and elements and rows in the same way. So let's say I want to, the green box here is a section. As you go in, you'll see the blue box. That's going to be a row. You can make 1 column rows, 2 column rows, 3 or 4 column rows even. You can make a row with a sidebar. And inside the rows, are the orange box, which is an element. So what we're going to do is just kind of focus on that for the most part today. You can't go into your settings. You can change the margins. Like this has a really tall margin. You can change the background image. Just for this, we're not going to do anything with that. But you can change the color, right? You can see the black background. Let's say we wanted it to be blue or something. We would change that there. We're going to make it black though, like what it was. Let's see what it was. See if I can figure out what it was. I think it was more like a glossy, grayish black like that, right? So coming back down here, you've got. You could do the same thing with the rows. You can come in here, check your this. Download now, or some of you can change the text. Now let's see, you can click here and you can go into the text setting. You can change the colors for the text. You can use your recently used colors. You can change the text size by sliding up or down here. You can select a font. So if you like, I like using this one a lot. Normally, probably not for a headline. I might use this for something a little more fancy. But you can go through here, find out which one you like the best, and use that. If you want to change the margins on that, you can change it here. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is self-explanatory, and you just have to get in there and start using this stuff and find out what works best. Bottom line. If you come over here to advanced, there's a few other things. You can change line height, which, you know, that's more like if you have a bunch of lines that's going to, you know, in your text. Like I'll show you how it works down here on this one. Let's see. I'll just change that back to auto. That's going to change that. So let's look at the text here. Like there's a couple different lines here. So I'm going to go to advanced. I'm going to come down here and go to line height. Let's say I want to force that to be 1.5. It's going to make that spacing between the lines a little bit more. I want to put it back to 1.3, so there's a little bit of space. I'm going to put it back to auto because it actually looks pretty decent when you do auto. But if you want to force it to something else, that's on you. There's a lot of different things that you can do here. Let's say if we come back here, I'm going to go back to the settings icon, back to advanced. We're on the headline right now. You can actually pick an icon. Sometimes this looks pretty cool, depending on what the purpose is. So if you have maybe you want to put a download arrow or something in here to make it look like they're downloading something. So it would just go right there, and then you could change the color of that even to, we'll say like blue. Obviously that looks kind of dumb for the sake of this, but you want to make it a little more subtle, you could do that, or you could just take it back out as well. So there it goes. Hit the trash can. It's gone. Let's talk a little bit about this form fields here because there are certain things that an opt-in page needs. As we go through these different types of pages, I'm going to show you the idiosyncrasies about what each thing needs. Okay, so you can change your elements. As you change your elements, you can add different things. Like this has headlines, subheadlines. You could put a bullet list in here. If I wanted to put an image, like say I was maybe they're downloading something specific, and I want to put an image in here of what it is that they're downloading. So let's say I put it in here. It puts in a space holder. I can go in and look for something. Well, shoot, let's see what I have in here. Let's say this looks good. I'll just put that in there for the fun of it. Let's say you just put that picture in there, but then you don't like where you put it. You're like, okay, you know what? I think it would look better up above the headline. You can put it right here and just move things around as needed. And you're like, you know what? It looks dumb. I don't want it at all. Just click that button. Bam, it's deleted, okay? Let's talk about these form fields. In order for an opt-in page to work the way that it's supposed to work, you need to have your form field set up, and then you have to have a button down here that will submit the page. So you're going to come into your form fields, you're going to select an input type, whatever it is. This particular one is set to full name. You can set your placeholder text, so you see where it says enter your name here. It also says that right here. This one is set to email. So we're going to check that one just to make sure everything's set. Email is the only one that's always required. Every time you submit a form, you have to get an email address. Okay? Now let's look at You can change the text or the font. You can change the size. You can get pretty advanced with this stuff. I'm not going to get into that, but if you guys want to play around and see how that works, by all means, go right ahead. We're going to come over here to Advanced tab, and I'm going to show you guys where the icon is on that. You can also do the email icon. So if you want to have no icon, you can take that away. If you want to put the email icon, you can put that in there. I like having it just to gives it a little bit more a little bit more dynamic. It makes it look interesting. But you can put you could put like 10 different form fields in here. You could have address fields, phone number fields, a whole bunch of different things for what you're doing. And then once you have all your fields set up and they're all named properly, they'll show what they are right here. You come down here to your button where you submit the page. Now, this is important, especially if you guys are creating this from scratch. If you created this from custom scratch page and you just add in a button, you have to come in here and set the action for that button. So let's say they were downloading a video or you want them to watch the video. So watch the video now. You can put an exclamation point in there, right? You have to select the action. So click on that, and then you have to tell it what it is that you want them to do. So in this case, we are submitting a form. We are submitting information into the system, okay? And what we're going to do right here, what's checked by default is what's right here in green. It says submit the form page. If you want, you can create buttons that open pop-ups, buttons that go to other websites. Like if you click here and then put the URL in there, that's what will happen. If you just want it to go to the next step in the funnel, it'll do that. There's so many things that this will do that it could get really crazy. So we're just going to click on submit the form page, and I'm going to give you guys a little hint. What happens when they submit the page? Two or three things happen. Okay, the first thing that's going to happen, I'm going to click back here, is that this page will submit. That information will be connected to, in my case, I connected it to Aweber, so that information is going to go to Aweber. It's also going to get submitted into the ClickFunnels contacts area. And then the third thing that's going to happen is this will go to the next page in the funnel. When you click submit, it will always go to the next page. So if the next page is something that you don't want them to be on, then don't make the next page. Then, make it, it has to be a thank you page or a sales page or something that you want them to be on. Okay? And if there is something on the next page that you do not want them to be on next, then what you need to do is come up here, go to settings, come down here to general, okay, and then go to on submit, go to blah, 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 and then you can put in some kind of a URL of where you want them to go, and it can be a different page. If you want to skip pages in your funnel, this is like a 2-page funnel, so we're not really skipping anything. So this is a little bit more of an advanced concept, but this is a redirect override in essence. So if you don't want them to go to the next page, make sure you come here to your general settings and then put in a URL. After they submit, it will go to this page. Okay, and while we're here, this is also where you can set up your affiliate badge to hide or show. I'd normally keep mine hidden depending on the purpose of the page and search engines. You may or may not want a particular page to be shown in the search engines, like your thank you page. Most thank you pages you'll want to hide, okay, because you don't want people getting on there and downloading your stuff. I guess you could, a lot of times, freebie stuff like that, but you're not going to get the lead. The idea is that you want to get the lead out of this. So we're just going to leave that on show for this particular one. And then you would, well, actually, you know what? Don't click on save page. This is a whole different thing, and it's a little bit deceiving the way that it's on there. But if you click save page, if you like your page, you can come down here and click save page as template, and then it will be saved to your templates. And then you can pull this up at any given time as one of your favorite template or one of your favorite opt-in pages. Okay, so at the end of the day, guys, that's how this works. Okay, when you're done, you can save it. So we're going to click on save. I haven't really done too much. And then you can click on preview. My advice to you would be to test. Always test. Make sure that you go in, add your name and email address, click the button, and make sure that things work as you intend for them to work, okay? So that's it for this. I'm going to click out of this, go back to the editor. I'm now in the editor, and I'm going to head back to the main page. You can click on the exit thing over there, and that's it. We've now edited your first page. You now understand that sections come first, and then you've got your rows, and then inside the rows, because you've got your 1 or 2 rows sections sometimes, and then inside of those you can have elements. There's all kinds of different elements. Guys, you've got to get into the elements and check those out individually. See what the possibilities are. As you start creating more and more pages, you're going to see what all these different elements will do and what their capabilities are. Without knowing what they are, it makes ClickFunnels a lot harder to use when you don't know what all those capabilities are. So guys, that's it. I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this and that you learned something. In the next video, we're going to be talking about that thank you page and what those different page types are. Okay? Talk to you soon.